Hi, I'm Becca Pincus, Director of the Polar Institute here at the Wilson Center, and I'm delighted to be joined today by diplomat Kenneth Høegh, who's Greenland's representative to the United States and Canada, working here in Washington, D.C. out of the Danish Embassy. Kenneth, welcome, and thank you for coming in to chat with us today.
Thank you, and I look forward to this.
So we're here today to talk about Greenland's recent and first diplomacy, foreign policy, and security strategy, Greenland in the World, Nothing About Us Without Us. So can you tell us what this title means?
Well, the thing is, Greenland is a former colony of Denmark, and today we are a self-governing part of the kingdom. And there's been a long path from being a colony until today we are a self-governing country with the right of independence. It's a signal that we would like to be involved in anything concerning Greenland and the Arctic when the kingdom is talking, when the kingdom is having anything in relation to Greenland and the Arctic. Greenland would like to be a part of those discussions, would like to be a part of the decision making. So that's simply what it is. Nothing about us without us.
Can you tell us what led up to the writing and release of this strategy?
Well, we actually made a foreign policy paper back in 2011, and that was the first one. But this is the first one where we are including also defense and security policy. So in that respect, it's very new. It's a very new thing for Greenland. Well, it's I guess the time requires it. It's simply needed. There are so many issues that we have to deal with and understand and try to get a national consensus on. And we're also having a chairmanship in the Arctic Council of the Kingdom in 2025
That's
to
right.
2027.
That's right.
And all these issues, global issues, and also the Arctic Council chairmanship, all led up to the need of defining the political goals for the next 10 years.
Are there plans for Greenland's role in that chairship?
Yes, I mean, Greenland has been very explicit about the need of Greenland having the leading role within the kingdom, because Greenland is the reason why the kingdom has a role to play in the Arctic. And so politically there's been clearly expressed towards the Danish government that this should be a very important part of the Greenlandic foreign policy in the years to come.
Excellent. And that is going to coincide with the expansion of your airports in 2025 too. Am I correct in that? So perfect timing?
Yeah, I mean, the three airports that
Yeah.
we are building. Yeah, I mean, we are inaugurating the new Nuuk airport in November this year, the 28th of November.
Great.
And so, yes, we will have the infrastructure needed, you could say, to have a very active participation in the chairmanship, yes.
Excellent. So let's start, we're here in Washington, so let's ask about the United States. The U.S. is highlighted as a priority partner throughout the strategy. Can you tell us why and how Greenland would like to see the U.S. as a partner going forward?
The U.S. is extremely important for Greenland when we talk about security. The U.S. has been in Greenland for the last 80 plus years since, U.S. servicemen has been in Greenland since 1941. That's a very, very long time. And there is a good relationship, and Greenland has got much more to say in that relationship than before. I mean, Greenland was becoming the third wheel in the relationship in 2004, when we had the Igaliku agreements between the United States, Denmark, and Greenland, where Greenland was taken in as an equal partner in that relationship. So in terms of security, Greenland and the US are, very much connected. And so it's natural that Greenland also should have a relationship in terms of trade, in terms of education, and also in terms of supply chain. I mean, and in terms of the security connected to supplies, that we are more Western oriented than we have been in the past. I mean, generally, historically, we have been very Eastern oriented towards our old colonial country. I mean, the old colonial mother country of Denmark. But Greenland are looking for connections in both directions, both towards the east and towards the west. And of course, Canada and the US are extremely important in that respect.
The proposal for an Arctic North American Forum. What is the vision for that? How would it relate to the Arctic Council and some of the other multilateral arrangements? What would Greenland hope to achieve with an Arctic North American Forum?
Greenland has been working with the Nordic countries for many, many years. We have been involved in that cooperation, not totally on equal terms, but we have been involved in that cooperation since the early 80s. And but Greenland is very much a North American culture. The Inuit culture is North American. It's an indigenous North American culture. And there is so much resemblance between the communities that you find all the way from northern Alaska, all across Canada to Greenland. And so it's natural that there should be a cooperation. We are kind of bridge between the Nordics and the North Americans, you could say. I mean, we do have a lot of connections to the Nordics, but we are also very much a North American culture. I mean, when I go to Alaska, I can actually understand quite a bit of the language, the indigenous language. But we have had very little cooperation. I mean, systemized cooperation on political level. We have had Inuit Circumpolar Council, ICC, working since the 70s. They have done a tremendous work in that respect, but we really haven't had a government-to-government cooperation. So what our politicians see is a need for cooperation all the way from Alaska and also the three territories of northern Canada. It really, and together with Greenland, of course, and it really doesn't directly influence the work in the Arctic Council as I see it, but it could. Potentially it could do that. But I guess it's just four entities that could work together in a positive way and find and please, Nunavut and Greenland are just next to each other. I mean, we can actually look at Nunavut, and it's just, how much is it? 1.5 hour flying then from Nuuk to Iqaluit. So we are so, in all terms, so close to each other. So we can learn from each other, and we can probably also cooperate in terms of business and in terms of infrastructure. So yes, there are so many things to work on.
Perhaps now we can turn to the new developments with regards to Canada, because it sounds like building relations with Canada, with the Canadian Northern Territories, Canadian First Nations, is a really important piece, a really important direction for the Greenlandic government. So what's the news with regards to Canada?
Well, actually, we are going to have our first direct connection with Canada. I mean, infrastructure-wise, we're going to have a flight connection from Nuuk to Iqaluit. It's going to be inaugurated by the end of June this year. And there is also a commitment from the Greenland government to work for a shipping route. I mean, that we will have ships going from Greenland, I mean, freight, going from Greenland direct from Nuuk to a harbor in Canada and a harbor in the US. And of course, that's needed. Otherwise, we won't see trade being created. So
that's exciting.
Yeah.
And a consulate, I believe?
Yes, I mean, yes, that's true. In Ottawa, we are planning to have a separate representation of the Government of Greenland to be built up within the years to come. It's probably not that many years. I won't give you a certain
Sure.
year, but it's not that many years. I'm sure that it's a commitment, and it's probably in the early part. The other commitment that we have is a representative also at the UN. So that there's these two issues in terms of North America. So we will end up probably within the next 10 years having a representation here in Washington, D.C., one connected to the UN and one connected to Ottawa.
Wow. But you've alluded to the factors contributing to the release of this strategy. You're adding in defense and security, which are sort of important additional dimensions. So we're obviously in a globally competitive environment with Russia's war in Ukraine, competition with China. You mentioned throughout this strategy that Greenland wants a peaceful and low-tension Arctic.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about how Greenland will be pursuing that goal, balancing its relations with the U.S. and with Europeans, as well as, trade and relations with Russia and China?
Okay, firstly, our trade with Russia is off the table right now. We decided to stop it all. So back in 22, and so today we don't have any trade at all.
We should note that prior to 2022, there was fishing trade, correct?
Yes, and there was actually accounting for around in 21 around 14-15%.
Wow.
So it was a major step.
That is a big step.
Yeah. But China and East Asia is an extremely important market for us, for our seafood.
Yeah.
And so you could say China is an important trading partner, as well as it's an important trading partner for the U.S. It's pretty much the same. So, but of course we are very much looking for trading partners when we are in developments for our industry within minerals, among the more like-minded nations, and the US, the EU. That's probably somebody that we would very much like to see investing in our countries, and that is probably a way to secure the minerals for these countries as well. And that's a peaceful Arctic. That's where an investor feels secure. So that's a key for us to develop our economy, and thereby also develop our autonomy and in the long run independence. One of the issues that is being taken up in the strategy is a peace center. The idea of a peace center to be developed. We are interested in looking into the Japanese experiences in developing peace centers and the peace philosophy. So you could say it's peace and stability and the basis of the development of our community and our society. And a non-peaceful Arctic is no good for us, to be honest. We also asking the Canadians to have a look at Greenland as Nuuk as a place to maybe have a more official presence. So we wouldn't mind if they went to Canada, to Greenland as well. The Canadians went to Greenland as well. We see a lot of Canadian companies working in Greenland more and more. We see Canadian companies within construction. We see Canadian companies within fisheries. They're using our infrastructure. Where Canadian fishermen are offloading their catch, not in Canada but in Greenland.
Interesting.
That's a key for them to get into the EU. We're not a member of the EU. We're not a member of the EU, but we have some harbors where you can actually offload.
Denmark is a member.
There you go.
Oh, that's fascinating.
So I think Greenland could very much develop as a stepping stone between the European part of the world and the North American part of the world, as well as between the Nordic countries and North America. We are very much a stepping stone.
Yeah, that is really interesting. And that's something that the US and Canada maybe could be talking about more closely as well.
Yeah. That's right.
Thank you very much for stopping by. It was great chatting with you.
Yeah, it was. Well,
it's always
thank
good to
you.
see you, Kenneth.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.